Dame la ciencia.
Yes, sir.
Yo.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Back at it again.
Another day alive. Can't complain, dude.
Yeah. Already. Black Community Podcast. It's your boy Bach. Big Bach. King Khalil.
What's up?
What's up? We got another one for him.
Yeah, this one's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They know what's going on, man. BLKCP.
You're the hype man, I swear. Let's do this.
You know, I don't know how I really got, you know what I mean, the ability to really do that. But I was on a interview with another guy of mine, and he said, dude, when you played my song, like the song was playing and it was all good, but what was really hot was the way you promoted that song while it was playing. Like, that was hot. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's some skill right there.
Yeah. I found these instrumentals this morning, man. I was like, let me give them a little something different, you know, something we can really like, you know, rap to, like talk to, like
have it in the background.
Yeah, give them some vibe in the background with it. You know what I'm saying?
All right, we on. All right. So today,
what we got for them?
I want to have a conversation. You dig?
Yes, sir.
And the conversation is: do black men protect black women? Now, the simple answer for me is yes. I mean, in my opinion, we do. I think there's a longer conversation, or at least another conversation that goes along with this one. And to me, it's, do black women want help or protection from black men? A common refrain that I heard a lot from just women on the news, articles I've read, stories I've seen on YouTube, black manosphere stuff. And it's, I can do bad all by myself. Shahrazad Ali in the 1980s, 1990s. White women go to college to find a man. Black women go to college to show that they don't need a man. And I'm thinking to myself, especially in this day and age, maybe for at least my generation and the generation after, Gen X or Gen Z and millennials, we have that, and mostly, not all, young black girls are raised more masculine than their counterparts, their brothers, cousins, And we live in a day and age where most women, black women in particular, are more sexually aggressive, more upfront, like dudes. And that's just how it is as of right now. I understand the predisposition, but I'm thinking, as a black woman, you say, you know, I can do battle by myself. I don't need no man. Okay. You go to college, you have a kid. It's just you and your kid. You're a single mom and you make your own money. You've done your education. You've gotten a car. Some even buy houses. And it makes me think, well, the way you're moving is like you don't need a man. And that's okay. That's your choice. If you, hey, you don't need a man, you don't need one. But what conflicts with me is then saying or asking, or really saying, why don't black men protect black women? And there was a study on YouTube. I'll find the link and put it in the description. And it was domestic abuse in public. And in every instance, it's Asian people that were doing this, by the way, just to give you a ethnic reference. But it doesn't matter, in my opinion. Every time the woman was hitting on the man, the way that men looked at them were like, well, no, he's a dude. If he really wanted, you know, he could leave or walk away or whatever they said. But in an instance where a woman was beating on a dude in front of, and had to be three black men. The woman's beating on the dude. They're kind of looking at him and laughing like, what is this guy doing? But as soon as he's like, remember actors, he's like, don't abuse me in public, and he throws her to the ground. As soon as that happens, the black man comes and pushes him. What's your problem, bro? The same black man that was laughing. So when it comes down to it, in my opinion, just in general, men see women getting hit or hurt, they help. Black men in particular, because most of us are raised by single moms, and we see single mothers or women, black women that are in our mom's position, quote unquote. We want to help them because who they remind us of. So to me, there is no discrepancy. There is no lack of black protection for black women. But I think that the women who want these protections are around what we like to call in the black manosphere, the Pookie and Ray Rays. The guys who don't do much besides hang, chill, smoke, maybe sell drugs, maybe gangbang. That's their life, maybe in prison. So what is your opinion on the topic?
I mean, I think we got a great one today, man, where we actually get to dive into the whole culture of protection. Now, there's a lot of things that we can protect from, mainly physical, mental, spiritual. These realms of protection, or I could say in a way, some of them is, you know, guidance on just the ways to move. I think that we have a little space to work within that realm. Whereas when I say a little space to work with, I mean like it's an emotional thing. Protection, I think it's a state of mind. Well, when you see, you know, men, specifically black men, who do protect black women in public, and you see that in the public realm, as a black man say, hey, you know, don't disrespect my black queen, don't, you know, don't do this, don't do that, you know, in verbal and physical things. But I think it's a whole nother place. Whereas what are we speaking into the community as well? So when I hear, you know, protection, I think of it on who and what leaders or people or Um, I mean, yeah, people, are you following? Are you being a part of their community, and what is their respects for you in those communities, and how, all plays a part on if you feel protected or not. Now, for me, I listen to a lot of hip hop music. I do listen to R&B and stuff like that too, and sometimes I dibble and dabble in a little other cultures and their music, but for the main part, I think that a lot of the protection, which I think coincides with respect, go hand in hand on those communities that you're involved in. So when you say, do black men protect black women, I feel there's two sides. Some do, and those some that I like to say who do are the ones who are raising daughters, giving them the advice, telling them how to move, what positions to put themselves in, what communities to put themselves in. I think that is a form of protection. And then as far as the physical aspect of it, I think that, we go to war for our women. I think that we, try our best with all of our limitations to be there for black women.
Okay, there are a few things I want to hit on. When it comes down to communities, now the only way to have a community is for people to be together. And even though you can, 85% of black men marry black women, 93% of black women marry black men. Statistics you can look up, blackdemographics.com. In order to have a community, we need to be together. And for the most part, we are, but we're still separate as far as multiple couples. When's the last time you walked up a block and saw a whole bunch of black people? I mean, I have on my very street, my two next door neighbors, one black, one white, and then the other one's black. But for the majority, I live in a kind of mix, but mostly white neighborhood. When have we had a black community for women to even, let's say, quote unquote, feel protected? And even without that, we still do our best to protect women. But also want to touch on the some do and some don't. I want to touch on the some don't. I've always said, hey, if I'm in proximity, I hear something, I see something, I'll act. But I don't think some women understand what could happen to the person that acts. That means that person is willing to die for you, willing to possibly lose his life protecting you as a black woman. If he has no relation, he doesn't know you, you're not dating, you're not married, none of that. And for the some that don't, my question, and just remember this, why do you think they don't? Now, my opinion is because they're raised in a household with a single mother, maybe a sister, maybe a predominantly, you can call it a matriarchy, and the way that they were treated in their own household, they were like, well, damn, black women don't even respect me and my family. Do I even think I'm gonna get any love out in the streets? So you don't put yourself in those type of situations, right? So that's the some do and some don't. And then the who you follow. To me, this comes down to, I literally watched a video on Black YouTube, a woman talking about why women like men that are in prison. Because men are in prison have a provider mentality. They're alpha males. All this quote unquote good stuff about men in prison. Now you're in prison, I'm not going to knock you because you don't always go to prison for committing a crime as far as, let's say, war on drugs. I'm going to leave it at that. But when it comes down to when women say things like that, you're basically, what are you saying to the men that are out here doing things legally? What are you saying to the men that are trying to make a means of living through life, even if it's average $42,000 medium income for black men? What are you saying to them about, well, a lot of the good men are in prison, but why are you in prison if you're a good man? And last but not least, protection is a mindset. Now, I think protection relies on the very first thing I brought up, communities. Without a community, in my opinion, it's harder to protect because everyone's spread out. Hell, the Black Panther Party in neighborhoods that were black people predominantly, walked around those neighborhoods, easier to protect their people. They're all in one location. At one point, we were all in the South. I think it was 89% of us were in the South before 1920. Before that was the first migration of Black people. So we were all in the South. It was easier. We were together. But as time has gone on, as things have changed, and even the way that I will say that some Black men view Black women is negative, and it could be from their upbringing or whatever, go get therapy. I can understand it. So where do you go from there?
Well, I mean, yeah, definitely. You know, I think we just really kind of reiterated both of the things that I said and you said. If you're listening to, you know, people who, you know, are, you know, talking about problems without talking about resolutions, then you're going to run into disagreement, and you're going to run away from inclusion and promote exclusion, only for the simple fact that you're not giving ideas or things to work on together to build that sense of community, to have someone to protect. Then you got to understand that Black women have been through so much that a lot of the way that they feel and the things that they associate themselves with is most of the time doubled and tripled up, because you got to understand, from a reference of slavery, you see, because a lot of times we can't get past that part because we don't know anything beyond that much. But from a reference from slavery to being raped to you know, feeding another nation through your body, through having your men taken away from you, through being, you know, surgically worked on, from all these different types of experiments and things like that. They were the subjects that had all of these things happen to them. So to be able to provide protection for them is a thing of respect to me. It's a thing of respect. If you respect the Black women and their mindset, their goals, what they want to accomplish, and you give interest into those things, that's where the respect comes. So along with all of those things that they've been through, into the newer centuries, then you get into or millenniums, then you get into who has then caused the most damage to Black women. Majority of the time, it's Black men.
What about proximity? Just before you continue, doesn't proximity play a role that Black men will kill other Black men because that's who they're close to? Would play in part with Black women?
Absolutely.
All right, go ahead, continue.
Absolutely. Well, but what I'm trying to say, or what I mean by that is that who is going to cause the most problems for them? You know, they're dating a Black man. Maybe they don't come to the table with as much as they need to, or maybe they don't give some of the things that they need to, and in turn, maybe they're actually hurting the Black man too. But in the same token, the Black man is hurting them, you know, cheating on them, beating on them, you know, doing the things that are happening without resolution or without a fix to it. I mean, I think that would cause, you know, anybody to say, well, this person is this way to me. I don't feel like they protect me. Then you go to the music. In the music, you got bitch, hoe, twerk some, suck this, do this to me. I don't need you. Pass her to my man. The whole crew hit. You know, so again, for me, that goes back to respect. You know, I don't think that there's any other music that puts women in a place like that. And it's so predominant now that in order for any female artist in the hip hop, R&B, black culture, they often have to be over sexualized to make it.
Okay. All right, that's a lot. And I mean, we've had conversations before, so the aspect of the domestic violence or the cheating, you know, beating, I've never seen this. I mean, I've seen the exact opposite. I've seen women hitting men, particularly in the black community. I've seen more women hit men or, rile them up. They retaliate in whatever way. Sometimes they hit them back and then call the police and get the man arrested or kicked out the house for the night. And that's what I've witnessed. I haven't seen a woman being beat. And the one reference I have in my own personal life, she knew what was happening, and she wasn't black. She was actually Hispanic. And she said she couldn't leave because of however she felt. You could say Stockholm, you could say a lot, but it's an age and era where, in my opinion, beyond being protected by black men, women rely heavily, particularly black women, Title IX, food stamp, they rely heavily on the government. And at this point in time, men get sheesh. What was Johnny Depp? He was getting beat by his wife. They said that he was beating her. He lost all his endorsement sponsors. And then when it came out that she was the abusive one, who cared? So we live in a time where women in particular have, let's say, more leverage when it comes to any crime. Special Victim Unit as a TV show. I know those units exist in real life. I get the aspect of it, but when it came down to it for me, this is a quote, Kevin Samuels, this is the color purple waiting to exhale of Black America. When those movies came out, I only read half the article, but black people were outraged because how it made black men look, and it wasn't true in the majority. Of course, things happen in the minority. Now, when it comes to rap music, now I understand, I get it, but this to me adds to the WAP, right? They call it a feminist, a song made for feminists. It's beautiful for women. It shows how liberated we are. Has a man ever got behind any song? Has a man got behind a song and said, this is the anthem that men should go by and how they should treat? No. As far as music, I get it. I get the culture, and it's not necessarily a good culture, and it's not nice to women. And the over-sexualization of women, to me, came from women. The same way it is in the dating market, where a woman would try to get you back to her crib or tell you that she about to with you before you would even say it to her. If women themselves sexualize, particularly black women, Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj, and then going back to Lil Kim, if you're going to sexualize yourself and do these things, it's hard for people to take away from the image that she's put out there. No matter what Cardi B has done, as far as any political, any charities, she's a stripper. She will forever be that because she's a sexual creature in shape and knew how to work a pole. So I get the aspects of it, but to break it down, the slavery, the assault, the rape, I think that's been exaggerated. When it comes down to respect, the best way to get respect is to give respect. And I think there's a low level of respect for black men in general, even the black men that aren't like this, because in my opinion, majority, 90% are not. And who caused the most damage to black women, to me, will always be the government. and white women with the feminist movement lying to them, saying that they can have a Sex in the City lifestyle, selling them a dream, and then telling them after they do all the stuff they do, they can get married, not wondering or caring about what men value in women. And then when it comes down to rap music, I get a support representation. However, what position are black women in versus black men in to do anything about it? And at this point in time, I don't know. How can you change an entire culture? There are rappers out here that don't curse. I've seen Christian rappers. I've seen gay rap. It's different. But what can change the culture in the rap community? I don't think anything can. But it shouldn't just. We should not be. Our image should not just be athlete, rapper, entertainment. And that's when it comes down to us as black men to change our image. And we're working on it. Hell, I'm working on it. But when it comes down to it, all in all, you have to lay some of the work at the women's feet and say, well, you got to be, more this, more that. And then as black men, we have to support the women that are classy. The what is it? Not Janet. Well, Janet Jackson. I don't think she ever did anything wild. She had a nip slip. But basically, female rappers who don't sexualize themselves. And as men, we have to support them so they feel wanted and they feel that they can still go further in their career without twerking. So on that part, that's the men's fault, the men's problem, the men thing that we need to work on. Support women that aren't just sex. But on the women's side, particularly when most black women that are in the industry are over-sexualized, that's how most of America beyond black men see black women.
And that's facts. And that's fact. But what I want to say with all of that, do you still feel like black men protect black women? And if you do, give me something in a way that you feel like they do.
So, black men have been talking about cooperation and being friendly in the black community. And even without, per se, 100% femininity, without always being friendly or hell, even fit, black men have still, to this day, are still marrying black women or trying to be with black women. A lot of black men I talk to, my contemporaries, my peers, we talk about our problems, we talk about their problems, and it comes down to we do want black women, but there's certain things in a relationship, no matter the race, that we won't deal with. Arguing all the time, combativeness, the lack of cooperation. Work with a brother, help a brother out, cooperate with me. I'm your guy, let me lead you. Those type of things in the black community, because basically, as of this point, the black community has been a matriarchy. And black men still want black women. And they still want to be with black women, even after, all the things I named. So to me, in that itself, I want to be with a black woman. But they're just things that I want out of my woman that if a black woman wasn't willing to do, then that's okay, baby. I'll see you later. And I would move on. And it's just like, it's that simple. So what I'm saying is, when it comes down to nitty gritty, black men still want black women. And even without, let's say, trying to change for both of us to be the best, black women have remained partially the same. The black men are still with them, still marrying them, still wanting to be with them. So to me, that speaks to the black men always wanting to be there. But a lot of black women, not all, but a good portion, want to do it their way, kind of want to have a marriage like a matriarchy where they lead and they can't follow. Or you hear this a lot, I'll follow a man that's worth me following. And that's not, what is that? You'll submit to a man that's worth your submission? So why are you dating a man that you feel the antithesis about? So there it is. Black men want black women, still want to be with black women without any adjustment to their lifestyle. They still want them. So to me, that speaks to how black men protect black women. But I want to also add this caveat. 66% of white women are pregnant and married, or married before they're pregnant, I should say. Do you want to guess the percentage for black women? It's 37%. And to me, that speaks more to why some feel unprotected, because they're uncovered. They have a boyfriend that lives in a separate house, and they have a kid by him. And then you're still not really living together. He may break up with you, he may leave, and then you're by yourself, and you don't feel like you're protected because the man that you gave your body to, your womb to, the best thing you can give a man, life, he's no longer with you. So you feel like black men this, black men that. The same way that I don't say it's all women. I do think it's more so of the women in the community, as far as some of the things I name. And I would say about 80%, there's 20% of women that don't fall into those categories that are black. So the same way that we have Pookies and Ray Rays is the same way that black women move to be wives. And what I'm saying is they're both minorities. We have guys that do things that are irreprehensible in our race and that we don't like or accept. And that's the minority. While women, feminine, friendly, fit is also the minority. So then you have minorities that are looking for the other minority, and then they put themselves in the majority by getting a kid. 80% of black women being overweight. Hell, I'm an overweight man losing weight. I understand. But when it comes down to it, black men want black women.
Okay. And I completely understand that. So because black men want black women still, through all of their imperfections,
yes,
that makes them feel like they are protected in your eyes.
That's the best way we can. Yes, that's the best way we can.
Now, from that, I just want to read all of the definitions that I have on protection. So, right. Protection, the action of protecting, or the state of being protected. The B, this is an example. The B vitamins give protection against infection, defense, shielding, similar. These are similar words. Preservation, conservation, safekeeping, safeguarding, safety, security, sanctuary, refuge, immunity. These are just some of the things. Okay. Mm-hmm. To get out of those similar things, back to another definition of protection: a person or thing that prevents someone or something from suffering harm or injury. Okay. The castle was built as protection against the Saxons. Barrier. These are some similarities right here. Barrier, buffer, shield, screen, hedge, cushion, preventative, armor. Another form of protection. A legal or other formal measures intended to preserve civil liberties and rights. A document guaranteeing immunity from harm to the person specified in it. The practice of paying money to criminals so as to prevent them from attacking oneself or one's property. Money paid to criminals to prevent from attacking, especially on a regular basis. Okay, so with those definitions of protection, I don't think that the community really upholds their responsibility and job on protection. And I don't want to put anything in the way of us being able to do that. Mm-hmm. But I remember reading a story online. I think it was the New York Post. And in that New York Post article, they actually protested for this too. But there was a black woman went into a store. She went to go buy herself something to drink. There were some guys at the front. These guys spoke to her. She spoke back. They came in the store with her, offered to buy her drinks or whatever. She was like, no, thank you. I'm good. And then she gets out. She's going to her car, and like 4 or 5 black men attack this black woman. Now I wasn't there, so I don't know what happened or why that was the outcome of their interactions.
Okay.
But from an experience like that for a black woman in her own community amongst black men to be treated that way, one, is something in the teachings. It's something in who are leading these other men for them to act out that way towards her. And for two, I don't see how she could feel protected in the black community.
I think you said something key there, and to me, it brings me back to the percentages I gave you earlier. It's something in the teaching, and this is where I get a lot of pushback from women because they'll be like, "I'll say what I got to say first." Well, black men are raised by, or black boys that go to become black men are raised by single mothers, and that is the majority. We have a 70% rate of single parents, a bastard rate, right? Single moms, 70%, and single moms teaching some young boys. In my opinion, the majority are just become softer boys, but then the minority of that, they either rebel extreme because they don't know, they don't understand masculinity. They're used to using their emotions. They're used to blacking out and fighting, which to me, I've heard stories mostly from women that, hey, I got so mad, I just did something besides thinking through your actions. So something in the teaching comes down to, well, what are black women teaching black boys in the majority? You know that black boys read at a 4th grade level in 2021? With all this information, 4th grade level, and the pushback for women is, well, where are the men at? But see, that's not the point. Yes, men aren't there, and I'll go into that in a second. But the point is, who's raising these boys to be aggressive, emotional, and to move in a more feminine manner? I have a cousin who gets mad and why? That's a more feminine thing to try. Throwing drinks on people. Men talk, men think, logic based. Don't let your emotions rule you. But these particular young black men, raised by women, and their emotions for the most part rule them, and that's what they learn and that's what they see. So these black men in particular, I can't say that 100% foolproof, but I can surmise, probably raised by single mothers, probably had no idea of their father. They went out to the streets to find a man that they can learn from, and this is what happens. Now, the men that aren't there, just to throw this on there, a lot of them aren't there for the reason I named earlier. Lack of cooperation, not friendly. I mean, the first time I ran into a black woman that was just nice, I thought she was trying to play a trick on me. And I'm not joking. I was genuinely taken back because the mother, the sister, the cousins, and other women I had met kind of fit the same archetype. Not 100%, but enough. And it was like, ooh, she's nice. She's this, she's that. And we had a great friendship. There was nothing wrong. So I understand, I get this story, but as many those men that do those things are brought about by the same women that want protection. So it's a messed up cycle, but the one way to stop the cycle is to actually build something together, do something together. And that's when it relies on men and women. Men build, you know what I'm saying? My favorite analogy is men are islands, women are boats. A woman go from island to island, trying to find what island fits her best, while men have to build themselves up. And we can live with that. We can build a community, but it also requires women to take, if you're out of shape, overweight, you have to go to the gym. You have to want to be better for yourself. If you know you're not feminine, you know you don't have a lot of let's say feminine attributes as far as, or you don't like being domesticated, well, you can fall into that professional woman. You don't have to be but there's a portion of black women that want to be essentially housewives. And it's crazy because I love bringing up Kevin Samuel and the Negros Manosphere, O'Shea Duke Jackson, MTR, because they talk about this in various ways. And when it comes down to it, a man wants a woman. He doesn't, unless he's homosexual, he doesn't want a man. So when you come off with that masculine energy, when you're basically competing with your husband, with your boyfriend, or I should say boyfriend, does that man want to become your husband? He wants a feminine woman. Now, if there are some dudes out there who want masculine women, and it's because of their upbringing. They were used to their mom being in charge, so they think, hey, my girl might as well be in charge. So it's a bigger conversation. So actually, let's switch it then. So how do we go about, how does a black man, if we, under the assumption black men do not protect black women, why do you think that is?
I mean, that's a great question. I feel that, black men are put in so many different situations that they don't know how to act and they don't know what to do. These aren't conversations that people have with their fathers anymore, with grandfathers anymore, because the teachings to me have been so far removed, and the people have been so far removed that these conversations can only come about in most black communities in a point of grandma or great grandma or mom telling you a story of how this black man used to do his thing, or what he used to do and how he used to do it. But most of the time, daddy working 3 or 4 jobs. People say that the black man isn't there in the household, but even when he is there in the household, you best believe he's out working most of the time, 2 and 3, 4 jobs. So still can't give that quality time that he needs to give. But what is being done in situations where another black man witnesses another black man cause harm to a black woman? Where's the protection? Whether it's mental, physical, spiritual within the churches and religious organizations. Who's holding who accountable? Is that other black guy who's observing this? Is he helping or assisting the perpetrator, or is he protecting the black woman? Like, hey, bro, look, you can feel how you want to feel. You can do what you want to do, but I'm here to tell you that what you're doing is wrong because this is a black woman. And even though they may be wrong, where is your masculine energy where you can talk about things, where you can do things in a way that's not emotional, but still get your point across?
So that to me leads to my overarching point is that if a black man sees this happening, the majority, and I would give a number, I would say 9 out of 10, let's say 8 out of 10 black men that see this happening, they will intervene. They will hit the guy. They will risk getting beat up if it's a group of guys. They would do their best. But
I've seen it the other way. I've seen people not saying anything. I've seen men have a female with them. They spending time with them during that day. They homeboys come around. Now there's all of a sudden this is some joint. You know what I'm saying? She live all the way out Virginia. You got her in Maryland. You go to a restaurant. You go in there, y'all eat and drink and stuff like that. Shorty not down for the yeah. Mm-hmm. Now you kick her out your car and leave her in Maryland, and she live in Virginia. And I've seen that myself. Okay. Right. And nobody around do nothing about it. Black men.
Okay. And that happens to me. That's just like, I get it. There's always a minority of men that do things as other men will be like, what the hell? I get it. But to me, this leads the overarching point is who raised black men, right? The black men that are alive from what 1969 to now, Generation X women, Generation X men, who raised them, and this is where to me it comes back to this: the fact that only 37% of black women have kids while married, and if you're married,
where'd that information come from?
blackdemographics.com.
Okay.
If you're married, then you have a man with you, and that man wants to love and protect you. That man wants to be there for you, right? And he is. I haven't seen a married man just let his wife fall or get beat up. I've never seen that. That's not my experience. But my point is, if you don't get married,
protection when they get married.
That is the best way to do it. Because when you get married, you tell your sister, your cousins, hey, well, maybe if you do make these changes, maybe if you work on yourself in this way instead of just instead of just fitness, instead of just do an overarching, hey, feminine, this, and this. If you work on yourselves in these ways, you can get a black man because black men want us, right? And then they're like, oh, okay. And black women push the narrative out about black men that black men are good instead of black ain't shit. And if that narrative is pushed out, because women control the culture, they push the culture forward in every generation. So where we're at now isn't all on the women, but they play a big role. So when it comes down to it, a woman has to tell her girlfriends, hey, go get a black man besides, leave him. You know how many stories I've heard? Black woman, as soon as something happens in a marriage, he's trying to be controlling, he's trying to be this. I mean, Kevin Samuels did a stream on single women keep other women single. And it comes down to this. If you want protection and you want a community, especially black people, we have to be together. But to be together, the man controls access to relationship while women control access to sex. If you want to be with a man, you have to work with your man. Now, some men have different standards, it's different. And if a woman can't conform, then, moving on to the next. And hopefully they're black. And that's what it comes down to. A man wants a certain type of woman when he gets married. And that should be reasonable the same way that women want a certain type of men. But from what I can understand, if we have a community like we used to have, when we were in the most racial time, Jim Crow era, we were married like 80%. At the most racist point in time, from black separate but equal is equal, we were married up until feminism, up until white women said, hey, you're oppressed by your man. Where in actuality, black men and black women were oppressed by the same man. So it comes down to getting married. It comes down to building a community, telling your daughters, telling your cousins, telling your sisters, hey, black men are out here and they want you. But they won't just, you know how many, okay. And this is not all black women, by the way. Anyone listening, this is a Western feminist ideology. But black women have drunk a lot of the Kool-Aid, whereas white women, and I've seen an increase in white women starting to drink the Kool-Aid as well. But the point is that black women have held on to these things. All good men are gay, down low, or in prison. I asked a woman, so if 80%, the divorce rate, by the way, 8 out of 10 black women divorce their husband, right? And 2 out of 10 black men divorce their wife. I asked a woman, I was like, hey, so if 80% of women leave, is it all the men's fault? And she just looked at me and shook her head, yes. What? You cannot build a community where when women leave, it's still the guy's fault. Now, everything plays a role. Men are just, he didn't do nothing. No. But what was your role in the situation? Did you emasculate? Did you verbally abuse him? You know how many abuse stories I've heard from women? And again, shout out to Kevin Samuels, O'Shea Du Jackson, literally telling a story that makes the man look bad and her look good. And then once the man asks a couple questions, you find out that it was mutual abuse. That's what the court system said. Not them two. They went to court, and the court was like, well, you abused him, he abused you. Mutual, I can't think of the word right now, but mutual abuse is essentially the term. So I get it, but the best way to build a community is what? Get married, have kids, tell your kids to marry black women. And on top of that, the change in black women has to be more feminine, more friendly, more fit. I mean, 80% fat. 80% of that number obese. It's a crazy world we live in for black women, but then they want a black man or even any man take me as I am, attitude and all. But most men don't want to deal with that. And a lot of us are Christian. And even in the Bible, a man would rather sit in the attic by himself than with a disgruntled wife. But the only one that I hear was a man who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. But that implies that you're a wife first. And another thing, just that's the same. If you want to be married, move like a married woman. Like move like you want to be a wife. A lot of black women, they go to college, like I said, they get houses, they get cars, and some of them even 70% of them have kids out of wedlock, just in a relationship, and the guy isn't there. And then you're trying to find a guy that's on your level, and women are making some gains. Some of them are making 60, 80, especially nurses, 60, 80, even almost or 100,000. And then they want a man on that level and realize that those particular men are different than the average men, and they really won't take anything that they don't want because they've made a life for themselves. So the whole point is, if you want a community and you want things to be better, the best way for them to be better is to get in relationship with black men. Stop telling women that black men ain't this, black men ain't that. You marry them, love them, be there for them, cooperate with them, and it's very simple in a man's eyes. I mean, really, cooperation is key. A man will go down in looks to go up in cooperation. It's just about working with a man, bringing value to a man, bring more to the table than your vagina. There's more to a woman than sex. That's what women say. And then, well, what do you give me? Well, I give you great sex. I give you good this, good that, good head, whatever. So
and I agree. I definitely agree with you. But this is what I'm gonna say. This is what I'm gonna say to that. I don't think that we have to marry to still have respect and protection in that community, because you could be walking down the street, you can see some young boys going at a woman disrespectfully, and you can still be the person to be like, come on, man, let's treat our women with more respect. You see what I'm saying? I don't think that has to be a marriage relationship in that aspect of it.
Okay.
For us to have that protection. I was watching a video the other day, guy walking down the street. Now, so happily, it was a white guy that, said something to a black woman, but a black guy stepped in and said, hey, listen, don't disrespect my queens like that. And the guy apologized or whatever. But the whole fact is that's where I think it starts with other black men, no matter where their situation is on what they're doing and how they're doing it, because you don't know just yet with that individual person. And that's where it gets into, are you saying things and putting everybody in one group, or is that person still available to be an individual first before they being part of a group, that's just a black woman, regardless to what their movement is, regardless to what their ideals are, whatever it is that person particularly has, and you don't know, but you see her being disrespected or treated, some type of way. Are you going to be there to stand up for her and to protect her?
Anything in my proximity, I will help. And that's not even just for women, that's for men too. I've always been a little bit of a selfless person, but in that same breath, there are going to be instances where a black man that's not even me sees a situation and he feels like, hey, if I go in there, I might lose my life. Is the outcome, what is it? Is the juice worth the squeeze? So I get it. I understand, but to me, it comes down to marriage, people getting married, actually moving into a community that's predominantly black, trying to build that community up to grow. And that's something that I'm going to work on down the line. I understand, but if a woman wants to be protected, she has to be around certain people, and you attract where you are. So if you're attracting nothing but Pookies and Ray Rays and people beating you, then at one point you have to say, well, maybe I'm part of the problem. Maybe the way I'm moving, the people I'm around need to change so that I could be around better men that don't hit me, don't abuse me, or whatever the case, or men that protect me. But you can't have your cake and eat it too, in the sense of, I'm just going to be how I am, not change. I mean, I've been the same way since I was 18. Maybe you need to change who you are, get therapy. And that's all of us, Black people, slavery, get therapy. I'm working on it. I promise. Next time I'm on this, I promise. You have to work on it yourself, aspects of yourself, to then attract the man or woman that you want in life. So, I mean, it's going to take us through a lot of strife. Big Bach, is everything going to be all right?
Oh, yeah. You know everything.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right. You know what it is, man. Hey, man, great conversation this morning, man. Enjoyed that. Look forward to next Tuesday, where we're going to talk about women.
Okay.
All right. We on it next week. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We got our next show coming up real soon, in about a couple minutes. Thanks so much, King Khalil.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Catch you later. Have a good one, Big Buck.
You too. Peace.
All right, bye.